Hello everybody, my name is Zen, and welcome back to more Diablo Immortal closed beta goodness, where we're going to be talking about Paragon and how it all works in this particular game. There's a lot to talk about here, so we're going to fly right through, but I'm going to preface this with saying that this is the closed beta, which means that things will change, but the best part of this is we can provide feedback and make sure that the game at launch is the best it possibly can be. So let's dive in and take a look at what it is. What is Paragon, first and foremost? It is an end game leveling system. Essentially, once you've hit max level, you unlock the ability to start getting Paragon, which are additional levels. In fact, if you look at the bottom, I've got a green bar, and that green bar fills up, and every time it does, I gain a Paragon level. I'll talk about the easiest way to get Paragon levels at the moment, but just let's kind of dive in and talk about what this is. So every time you level in Diablo Immortal, you get a Paragon point that you can put in to one of these trees. There's other trees that unlock at different Paragon levels, as you see here. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this is distinctly different than Diablo 3, which has Paragon levels. And those Paragon levels, how do we put it? Let's just say a lot of people have many issues with them. The first and primary issue is that once you fill out in Diablo 3 the vast majority of the trees and you reach 800 Paragon levels, you're then putting all of your points into main stat, and the end game essentially becomes a race to how many Paragon levels can I get, which is how much extra main stat can I get, which means how much higher greater rifts can I push to gain more Paragon levels. It's quite a bit of a snowball. Now, Diablo Immortal does this a little different. You're not just necessarily putting points into endless trees until they fill up and then you're finally done and then you move on and put points into main stat. No, there's a bit of a progression here. So we have our trees. We have Vanquisher, Survivor, Treasure Hunter, Gladiator, and Soldier. But these are different in the way that we're not putting points into main stat. There is no objectively best option that you're going to dump 100% of your points into when you get the opportunity to do so. Because once you passed 800 in Diablo 3, any extra point you get, you're putting into main stat. Like literally the other three trees are filled out. You're just putting it into the primary tree. That's not the case here. And as you can tell, we unlock different trees as we go up in Paragon. So let's look at the Vanquisher one, because that's the first one that I've started putting points into. The way that it works is you've got a skill tree. Like good old-fashioned skill trees. They were a thing of the past, and now they're a thing of the future because Diablo 2 Resurrected has come out, and everybody remembers that skill trees are actually a lot of fun. Same thing with WoW Classic. Oh, skill trees, they're actually pretty cool. I mean, there's some bad things about them when they just become, endless dump stats of 1% upgrades, but when done well, they are quite good. So we have two options here. We have potency, which increases our potency by 4, or we have damage, which increases our damage by 16 per, and I have 2 points in here, so it's up to 32. I have 1 Paragon point. I'm just going to go ahead and boop. There we go. I'm 3 out of 5 on damage. That will max out to 5, and then I can move on across the tree. There's a bunch of stuff here. We're going to take a look at it, just kind of give you an idea. We're not going to dive into all of these in high detail because there's no point to. Again, things will change, but just to give you a general idea, you have potency and you have damage. Those are just two stats that you're dumping into for Vanquisher. But then on top of that, let's say I get my damage fully upgraded, and then I can move on to Zeal, which is and it better describes it here. So the circles, such as damage, you see at the circle icon. It is once learned, the attribute bonus is always applied to your character. Then you have specialization skills, which are the actual skills. Once learned, this skill bonus is applied when the specialization is active. So once I learn this, I have the ability to activate this skill tree, to activate the Vanquisher skill tree. And you can see up in the top right corner, the little circle with the cross through it. Once I do that, I can activate it, and then I can gain these skills. So, for example, Zeal is for each monster you defeat, your attack speed increases by 0.5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 10 times, which is not bad. 5% attack speed is quite good, but it is just, it's just a passive bonus that essentially you're getting there. Whereas Exorcism is 5% increased damage done to monsters. it's you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. If we go over from exorcism on the top and we go to deep pockets, inventory rows +1. Ooh. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? That's real nice. Permanent attributes once learned. This attribute bonus is always applied to your character, meaning that if we don't have Vanquisher as our selected trees, then we still get this effect, which is pretty nice. You can effectively increase your inventory space. Then you have Heart of Wrath. Wrath and Zeal can now stack up to 15 times. Zeal or Wrath is down here, so we'll talk about Wrath in a second, but it's just a nice little passive. It can stack up to 15 times. From Zeal moving over to the right, we have Life, +160 life. Pretty simple. Judgment. After defeating 5 monsters, your next attack is guaranteed critical hit. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Damage, again, it's the same thing as this one, so you're just putting damage stats in. It's a nice little upgrade. Wrath, for each monster you defeat, your damage done increases by 0.5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. Again, if it's a 5% increase, but then you get, you know, the 15 times and you're going up. So armor penetration is increased by +4, and that of course has points that you're putting into it. So that, you know, for 1 point seems kind of like but it is out of 25. You know, that one's out of 25. This one's out of 25. This one's out of 5. You see how that works? Like these deeper ones, that one's out of 5. So you get 5 inventory rows out of that. That's just how that particular tree is. The survivor tree is a little different. It starts out with life. It doesn't start out with 2 branching things. Then you get unyielding. For every 10% of missing life, you take 1.2% less damage. Armor, you know, 20 +4 armor. That's pretty good. Stalwart. Whenever you drop below 30% life, you gain 35% increased block chance for 6 seconds. Cannot trigger more than once every 60 seconds. Pretty good. And there's another armor here. Escape Artist. Whenever you drop below 30% life, you gain 35% increased movement speed and can move unhindered through monsters for 6 seconds. It's pretty nice. Life, then Precognition, reduce the cooldown of Stalwart, and Escape Artist from 60 seconds to 45 seconds. Resistance is up to 20. Indestructible, fatal attacks from monsters instead reduce you to 1 life and make you immune to all damage from monsters for 3 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 120. Pretty cool. I think that it's nice that, you know, we have a save from death here. It works because otherwise you don't have many options for save from death, but it is there. Should mention that currently Diablo Immortal has no hardcore mode, so just keep that in mind. That may be something that comes in the future, but I've not heard anything directly. And then we have another damage increase here. So you get the idea that Vanquisher is definitely more damage focused. Survivor is more surviving focused. And now with that in mind, we can just extrapolate and just, we've seen these trees mostly. Some of them have changed slightly since the closed alpha and then since the technical alpha and then closed alpha and all that. But the Treasure Hunter is about treasure hunting. Gladiator has some, I believe it's some cool PvP stuff. And then Soldier, I don't remember what's in there, but you can kind of extrapolate what you can expect. The thing is, you're going to be getting all these Paragon points and dumping it into these and then activating whatever tree you see fit. And you can change that out. And I like that. So that's how the Paragon points work. You're gaining levels just by doing normal stuff. You know, anytime you go kill a monster, you're still gaining XP and it'll fill up that green bar on the bottom of my screen there. But the thing to keep in mind is right now, and this goes for normal leveling, the easiest way to gain XP is to fill out the battle pass. You see, I got that bar 155 out of 180. When I hit 180, I'm like literally going to gain a whole Paragon level. It just is so much XP that filling up the battle pass does for you. To be fair, and to be very clear, you do not have to have the empowered version of the battle pass, so you don't have to pay the $5 per month to get that XP bonus. For free, you're going to be getting that XP anyways. So there's no benefit to leveling if you have the battle pass as opposed to otherwise. It's just let's be very clear about that. But for me, when it comes to farming Paragon, you know, it's just doing all of the stuff. If we go to our Codex, we have a list of activities. Right now, the featured activity are Elder Rifts, which is kind of like just normal rifts in Diablo 3. And they're giving 2 times the battle pass points there. So instead of getting 8, I'm going to get 16 per Elder Rift. And I could do those in like 2 minutes. So it's actually really efficient for leveling Paragon. But sometimes you'll have things like Mad King's Breach is 2 times, and then that's 15, or the bestiary will be, upgraded. And there's all sorts of stuff here that you're going to be getting battle pass points for, including the quests, which you can do, like open 30 treasure chest. I get 60 battle pass points. So you see that simply by playing the game, I'm gaining points, and like the complete 6 Elder Rifts, that actually synergizes quite well with the Elder Rift featured activity. So it's less about, okay, I'm just going to go run greater rifts as fast as I possibly can and speed run them to gain Paragon points to get more powerful. It's more about, okay, I log in. You got to think of it like kind of like an MMO. If you've ever played Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft or any of the other MMOs available, you log in and you go, what can I do today? What are my, in World of Warcraft, what are my world quests, or what are my dungeons that I need to do this week, and stuff like that. And what can I do this week to progress my character, my class, my account, whatever. In this case, it's the exact same thing. You're logging in, you're looking at your codex, and you're going, what are the featured activities right this moment? Let's be honest, I'm sitting on the toilet. I need 5 minutes to do something. Oh, there's an Elder Rift. Okay, cool. I'll go get 16 battle pass points for an Elder Rift real quick. And that's the way most people are going to play. And that is totally fine. So just by being efficient with your activities and, understanding that set items, which I haven't done a video for yet, but set items, trust me, I will. They are very exciting. They come from doing dungeons, specific dungeons, in fact, drop specific pieces. So it's kind of like a Diablo 2-esque thing where you're like, I'm going to target this set piece that I need. So I'm going to go do Mad King's Breach over and over and over until it drops. And that's cool because it gives players, the opportunity to do that. And then all the while, you're collecting battle pass points, you're leveling up, you're gaining Paragon. So it's less of I'm going to go do one particular activity until my eyes bleed, and more of I'm just going to log in and do what I can efficiently to gain Paragon points. Now, with all of that out of the way, we understand how Paragon works. It's kind of similar to Diablo 3. Bar one very, very major thing that I think a lot of people in Diablo 3 would actually be very thankful for.
What can I do?
I'm going to open up the Blacksmith here because it shows you actually pretty clearly. So let's say we wanted to salvage all my rare items that I have. I have this little thing that says results at the bottom on the right, and I can click on the information, and it gives us information about the world Paragon. So results are determined by your Paragon level and the server Paragon level when items drop. So when it drops, the result of essentially salvaging this gear is going to be determined by my Paragon level versus the server Paragon level when it drops. So if I'm below the server Paragon level, don't worry, I'll explain all this in a second, I will get 200% returned on my salvage. If I'm above the server Paragon level, 5 or more, I only get 25% returned, and 10 or more, I only get 5% returned. So what is actually going on here? Essentially, let's break this down into easy math. Let's say you, person who is watching this, viewer, I appreciate that you're here. Thank you for coming. Let's assume that the game just launches, and we're going to make this easy math. The Paragon level for the server is set to, let's say, 50. So you log in day one, and it is set to 50. So you level up all throughout the night. You get to max level. You start collecting Paragon points or Paragon levels, and you're doing your whole rotation. And then after a couple days, you get to 50. Then you have reached what was, and I'll be clear there, what was the server Paragon level, because that Paragon level increases every day. It goes up by 2. So it's increasing the ceiling. Think of it like a Paragon ceiling. And that is a maximum amount of power that you can get from your Paragon per server. So let's say everybody who, and to be honest, it's you included, because if you're watching this closed beta video and you're interested in Paragon stuff, you're probably going to play this game at launch and you're going to be interested in that. So let's just kind of assume for a second that you're going to be playing at launch. I think that's a safe assumption. When you jump in and you know life the game, if you do, then you will eventually hit that Paragon cap. It's a soft cap. I shouldn't even call it a cap. It's just the Paragon, the server Paragon level, the world Paragon level. And every day that is going to increase by 2, which you can very easily get in the game. You're not, you're not going to fall behind just because you only play a tiny bit of the game. Instead, what will end up happening is everybody will eventually, if they're playing the game consistently, hit that cap. And it is a natural, like a nullifier for power. You're never going to have a situation like you do in Diablo 3 where someone loads up a bot, it just farms out greater rifts, for like literally 90 hours within the start, and they're like well above like 1500 Paragon levels. They're like at almost 2000, and they're just like flying because they have so much stuff, and they're at the top of the leaderboard. That's not going to happen in this because you literally have a soft cap that is slowly raising over time. The other effect of this, and the reason why this is very important to understand how it works, is a discussion that I'm also working on a video for about whether or not the game is paid to win. Because let's say you wanted to hop into the shop and purchase a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of troves here, right? So like I got these bundles. Let's look at this one, for example. You know, I'm going to get 330 eternal orbs, 3 legendary crests, and 18 rare crests. Those are for doing, the crests are for doing elder rifts and stuff like that. But I could straight up just buy certain materials, or these materials are not what you think they are for. It's not like I'm just like buying gear here. It's more for progressing a system. These are reforged stones, and then we have the Dawning Echo. Oh, it's so beautiful looking. But there's some other things like where is it at? The currencies here, which you can use to purchase things like the legendary rift stones and whatnot. You could straight up just buy legendary crests with your orbs. So there's a lot of stuff that you can buy here. If a player decides that, hey, I want to buy this Destruction's End Trove because it's going to give me 36 gems, and those gems I'm going to be able to, just like in old Diablo games, you know, or in Diablo 3 in particular, I'm going to use them to consolidate into each other to make more and more powerful gems. And then with that, I'm also going to use the legendary crests to guarantee that I'm getting legendary gems dropping out of Elder Rifts, which I'm then using to empower my legendary gems. And you start seeing that your character is getting more and more powerful. However, even a player who is dropping big bucks in the game is still eventually going to hit that Paragon world cap. And when they do so, they are going to be getting 25% less returned on all of the gear that they're salvaging. There is literally and this is weird because it's not communicated at the moment, but there's a cap per day on how many things that you can be getting from playing the game. And essentially what is happening with all of this stuff in the back end, it is making it so it doesn't matter if you drop $100 at launch on the game and get a bunch of gems and whatnot, or if you farm it out and you don't spend a dime, you will all eventually hit this Paragon level cap, if you're playing consistently, I should say. And what that does is it makes sure that there is balance in the force, essentially. Whether this is actually going to play out the way they want it to or not, we'll have to tell over time. But, you know, basic math says that if the game launches day 1, let's say the Paragon is level 10, and that is like the max that you can get, and then by, you know, day 3, because most people have lives, they get to max level and they start farming some Paragon out by doing their battle pass activities. Then they hit that 10 that there was the cap, but now it's been 3 days, so now it's 16, for example. Let's say it goes up by 2. Then they have, you know, 6 more levels to achieve, but they can do that. They can gain more than 2 levels per day simply just playing the game, and they will eventually hit that cap, and the power of their characters will really be leveled based on what they're actually able to get out of here. Because, you know, if you're getting a bunch of gear because you're playing the game, but you're not able to salvage it into stuff because you're at the Paragon level cap and you're only getting 25% as opposed to 200%, then you're in a situation where everybody's going to catch up to each other. And I kind of like that. It means that even people who have a life can still be on the same playing field as a lot of people. It's going to take a lot of playtime to do that, to stay at that cap. And this doesn't even come into question of like, what happens when a player 6 months down the line joins the game for the first time? Are they going to be massively behind these other players, even though the way that the matchmaking works is it seems to want to favor your gear and your Paragon level with people of equal stuff. So it's not necessarily, if you're doing PvP stuff, it's not necessarily making it so like you're just going to get one tapped every single time. It's trying to figure that out in the back end. But let's say, you know, someone jumps in 6 months down the line. Are they going to be super behind? Yes, but it's possible for them to catch up, especially if they, you know, if they try to empower their character with a bit of money. Whether or not that has a long-term effect or not, we don't know yet. And there has been talk of, if we get to the point later down the line where the server Paragon is so high that it is kind of hard for normal people to catch up, and they do like a huge content drop that maybe adds a new zone or a new class and stuff like that, or maybe even increases the level, then they can kind of do a soft reset on the Paragons to you know, allow people to jump back in and think of it kind of like an MMO, like we were talking about before, like World of Warcraft. A new expansion launches, everybody's kind of leveled in terms of where they were at, but at the same time, the bonus there for them is maybe they, and this would be cool if it was implemented, if you were at a certain Paragon level when the things are like leveled out, then you get a bunch of cosmetic stuff. I think that would be really cool. But it's an interesting system. It is different from Diablo 3. A lot of people in Diablo 3 have been calling for a Paragon level cap for a very long time, you know, during a season. So that way it kind of equalizes the field. And this is essentially doing the same thing, but making sure that over time, your character is still progressing. Whew. Hopefully that explains it all. With all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of this. It is very interesting. Which of these trees are you most intrigued by? For me, it's Treasure Hunter, because I think that's really cool. Maybe we get a bunch of magic find and stuff like that. I haven't seen it since the beta has, the closed beta has launched, so I don't know what has changed in these trees since the previous tests. But so far, it is really cool that, you know, this is how it is laid out, and you have a bit more choice than you did before in Diablo 3. And it just seems a little more designed. It's a little less just kind of thrown there for additional progression, and more like, hey, this is something cool that you can invest your time into and feel like you're getting returns out of, and feel like you're getting customization out of for your character. I mean, to be honest, that was always the hope for the Diablo 3 Paragon system, is you would be like, you know, I have 500 levels. I need to put my points into this, this, and this because it helps my build. You know, I need cooldown reduction rather than crit chance, because, you know, crit chance is not just going to work for Thorns or whatever. Then, you know, it felt like you would have some control over that. But the way that it all pans out in the end is that it doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get to the main stat, and then that's it. This seems to take the spirit of that and try to inject it in. Whether or not it succeeds, I'll leave that up to you guys and what you guys kind of think about all of this. Again, let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe for more Diablo Immortal stuff. I got a lot of stuff in the works for it. And I'd be really interested to see what you guys think of whether the game is pay to win when I present my arguments for and against it, and the determination thereof of what ends up happening. And then, of course, all of this stuff that we talk about on this video, it's not into a void. It does go straight into feedback to the team. So that way, you know, we make sure that we're making the best game that we can. And I think I want to basically encourage all of you guys to do that. You know, give as good a feedback as you can here, because it is heard, and they are making changes based on the feedback, and they're being very open to solid feedback on this stuff. And if you don't like this system, what do you think can be better about it? How can the World Paragon stuff change it for the better? And how can we make sure that the game that we all love, which is, you know, the Diablo franchise, has an awesome installment when this actually launches? Yeah, I think that basically covers it. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you all next time.